John Adams. Yes, many of you know him as the second president of the United States, but what many of you might not know is that he was a well-established attorney before he got into politics. We are going to explore what impact Mr. Adams had on our judicial system both directly and indirectly, and what made him popular and unpopular in some of those actions. In fact, one of his more unpopular cases took place while our country was getting ready to go to battle with Great Britain for our nation's independence.
It is the basic principle that the law should be applied to all men, and this gentleman should be given a fair trial.
That was Adams convinced in a Boston courtroom that British Captain Preston should be treated the same way as an American colonist in the courts. And his actions worked, as Captain Preston was found not guilty for the Boston Massacre, which made him pretty unpopular in the area for a very long time. But he was doing what John Adams did best by defending the British through principle rather than sympathy for their cause.
Mr. Adams, wake up. It's almost midnight and you still have to appoint William Maria as a justice.
Yes, my boy. Get this to Mr. Madison as soon as possible.
All right, right away.
Well, new incoming Secretary of State James Madison didn't approve of these midnight appointments and refused to deliver the letter to Marbury, who sued. This lawsuit gave way indirectly for the Supreme Court to establish itself in a powerful way. Marbury versus Madison led to decision by Chief Justice John Marshall, who coincidentally was appointed as the Chief Justice by John Adams, and the other justices to establish judicial review, which lets the courts review acts by the Congress or the President to determine if they are constitutional. Another of Adams' contributions to law came after he had left the presidency. Adams was asked to be an advisor on the controversial trial of Joseph Cinque, who, along with other slaves who had overthrown the Amistad, a Cuban slave ship they were being transported on. The slaves had been found guilty in lower courts, and an appeal to the Supreme Court led Adams to take up the case, again based on principle of law rather than sympathy. Adams override an argument before the U.S. Supreme Court beginning on February 22, 1841, and then on the death of one of the justices continued on March 1st of that same year, was that the Declaration of Independence, with its guarantee of the inalienable rights of man, superseded any other international treaties, legal claims, or political expediencies.
We have long resisted asking you for guidance. Perhaps we have feared in doing so we might acknowledge that our individuality, which we so revere, is not entirely our own.
Adams' argument to the Supreme Court convinced them to set free the enslaved Africans and allow them to return home to their own country. There's no doubt that if John Adams were alive today, he would be making the same arguments before the courts for the detainees of Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, letting everyone know that their detention, even though not on U.S. soil, still needs to be addressed and that they have the same rights as a person in America.